All right, we're live again here at Doomsday's Krypt. I'm joined along with director, filmmaker, writer Stephen Anthony Morris. Welcome to the show, man.
Thanks for having me, man. I
And I
like to
just
have a
watched.
little bit of everything, you know what I mean? So I do
Yeah, yeah,
jack of all trades, master of none, you know.
yeah. You got to be in the indie community.
Mhm.
But yeah, I just watched. He knows. I slightly talked to you a little bit about it. It was a lot of fun. Good Christmas movie. Perfect time of year to check it out.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. We just
Yeah,
released, I think it was a couple of months ago. It took 2 years in the making. So
yeah. I'm excited to talk to you about it. You had a pretty solid cast. I saw Sean C. Phillips there. Uh,
we had a couple of big hitters. We had Lynn Lowry,
yeah, Lynn
Shivers,
Lowry.
Crazies, Morgan Pyle from Extremely Wicked, Shockingly Evil and Vile. That's the Zac Efron Ted Bundy film. She played his daughter in that. She played young Stephanie in this film. I had Zach Miser. He was in the newest season of American Horror Story New York City. Britt Baker. She's a local Indiana Fox 59 9 news anchor. So I got lucky with my first film, man. I just reached out to a lot of cool people and they said yes.
Yeah, it's a lot of these people out there are cool, man. Sometimes it just takes reaching out and the response you're kind of shocked about. I'm guessing. It's like, wow, okay, cool.
I was like shocked to just get a response and then to get people excited for it. I was like, oh my God, you like it? Cool.
Well, it definitely was hey, it was a cool Christmas horror story. I think we always need more. I mean, we got Krampus, Silent Night, Deadly Night, and all that, but yeah, of Jack Frost, of course. But this one had kind of a unique twist to it. Uh,
Yeah, I
I
tried
was,
a lot of
it was,
inspiration from people like Wes Craven and such for like the Scream franchise, you know. So
yeah, I enjoyed it. I like the yeah, there's definitely Wes Craven vibe in it. I could definitely, if I could compare it to things, I guess it has almost hmm, it's definitely got a little bit of a Krampus vibe just because it's Christmas. But yeah, it does have like a screamish type vibe to it too, which I really enjoyed about it. I thought the look of the slasher was really good. Um,
I was
why
super
am I
happy
forgetting
with
his name?
that.
What was his name, Bob? What's the elf's name?
Sammy the Elf.
Sammy. I keep wanting to call him Jerry for whatever reason. Sammy the elf. I thought the mask and the look was really cool. I thought you had some really fun kills in it. And I really like how you had a story to it. So it kind of had you guessing the whole time through it.
Mhm.
What are we dealing with here?
Yeah, I appreciate that, man. When I first wrote it, it was eventually going to be like a creature feature. So the whole backstory of, Mr. and Mrs. Claus couldn't have a kid of their own, so the elves made them one. That was originally going to be the plot to the film, but I was like, man, I got a micro budget. I don't think I could really do what I would want to do for like a creature feature. So I was like, what's more scary than that? And that's just a person in a mask with a motive. You know what I mean? It's just like this could happen. So I just
Yeah.
felt like it was more compelling for me to write, and I had my co-writer Kermit Merle Key help me out with a lot of that because I'm a first-time writer, so he taught me a lot about structure and stuff like that. So it helped me out with a lot.
Yeah, I saw you had a co-writer with it. And I saw his name a lot in there. So I figured you guys had a pretty good team of the two of you guys writing it there because it did have a good story. It really had a lot. You could tell there was a lot of thought and a lot of heart to this
Mm-hmm.
project. And I gotta say, I love the score too. I love the song.
Yeah, dude, I was so excited. Like, Black Phantom, the band that did the song for us, they had reached out to me through Facebook and they had found the film and were like, "Hey, would you be interested in us possibly, getting some of our music in your film?" I was like, "Yeah, dude." And they were like, "We also make songs." And I was like, "Could you make me a Sammy the Elf song?" And they went out and shot their own stuff for their part of the music video. I took clips and I got a whole music video out there for that as well. It's called Sammy the Elf, of course, the song and the music video by Black Phantom. So folks can find that on YouTube as well. It's pretty fun. I thought that we did really good job with the music video for that. So.
I love the song. It's rocking, man. I'm an '80s horror guy, and it definitely had that '80s vibe, almost like a Miles Kennedy type vocalist. Really strong vocals, very metal,
Yeah, dude, I
and
love.
I dug it.
And they did such a quick turnaround on that too. I was just like blown away. I was like, you guys got the song like completely. Like all I did was send them like the first 7 pages of the film and then give them like a a brief pitch of like Sammy the Elf punishes the naughty of a small Midwestern town. So if you use, sell, or abuse drugs or children or anything like that in any way, you're going to be on the naughty list type stuff. And they went out and made that song, and I was like, oh my god, it completely like pictures everything that I wanted for Sammy the Elf. So I was like, wow, you guys didn't even have to see the whole film for that. That's awesome. And they got it done so fast with COVID and
Uh,
everything, all the restrictions.
I mean, it was straight fire. That song is straight fire. I'll put it up there with like Dream Warriors by Dokken on the metal. Like, I mean, it's almost once I heard the song kicking in,
Mhm.
I was like, man, I'm sold, dude. Now I got to watch this whole movie, and I'm already in a good mood.
Mhm.
So yeah,
Yeah,
and
that was
I did.
important for us for the opening too. I was like, let's make it kind of playful because I want to set that tone. You know what I mean? So, it was kind of like a tribute to like 80s, 90s slasher films. And the opening being 20 years later, we shot that on an older camera to kind of get slightly older look. And then I wanted, that fun little animated opening to kind of like show people what they're getting themselves in for. It's not just all doom and gloom, it's a little fun there too. So,
It had just the right amount, I think, of mix of comedy, seriousness, and it definitely had good character building, which is always important in any film, in my opinion. So you put a lot of thought in each one of the characters you had. Now, the
yeah, so
guy who played the bartender
yeah,
looked familiar, though.
I get a lot of crap for that stuff about the characters. Actually, people are like, "Oh, they're not likable characters, really," and I'm like, "It's a tribute to 80s and 90s slasher films. How many likable characters did you see in those movies?" So I got a lot of the stereotypes. I personally played a character named Jason, who was like the stoner character. So people were like, "Yeah, these people ain't really likable. You kind of cheer for the deaths," and I'm like, "Yeah, that's kind of what I'm excited for in slasher. So that's what I wanted. It was intentional."
That's how this household is. We watch a Halloween movie or something. We're rooting for the slasher. So there are likable characters, but there's definitely characters that it's like, okay, I'm ready for their demise. I'm ready for them to get taken out pretty quick and brutally.
Because like you think about how many characters actually carry over into sequels when it comes to slasher films, there's like very few out there other than like Scream, and I guess we could say Courtney Cox because Neve Campbell ain't coming back for the next Scream or whatever, but like
No,
her and like very few people that just come back in every sequel. So yeah, I was like, let's make some people that's not likable and just see if who wants.
classic '80s, man.
Yeah.
'80s, '90s. I mean, most, like you said, a lot of they're kind of meant to not like it. You just kind of want to see like some of the dickens. I mean, there are likable characters too, though.
Yeah, I think a lot of them were likable in the sense that they were realistic in some of them. A lot
Yeah,
of people have reached out to me about the character Greg, and they're like, "Man, you gave him all the best lines." And I was like, I felt like we didn't give him too many lines, but he was such a great actor that he popped with everything that he did. That people are like, "Are you bringing Greg back?" I'm like, "You guys are in for a treat for what I'm writing for the sequel. I'm bringing quite a few people back." So,
that's that's awesome. So, what made you say, you know what, for your first film, this is what I want to write? I mean, obviously Wes Craven, being
mhm.
a fan, but you know, that's a really creative direction to go Christmas instead of say a Halloween theme horror movie for a first shot. So
Yeah.
I thought that was cool. What got you started? What got you rolling with this? And how did you start writing with your co-writer?
Um, I don't really recall. I think I had met him through like a film network here in Indiana, IFN. They have like local filmmaker meetings here in Indiana. I think I'd met him through that, and then we just kind of talked back and forth about a bunch of stuff. And I had wrote like a first draft and went out and got a mask and everything made. And then he was like, "You know what? Let me see what you got going," and kind of helped me from there, kind of actually get it structured because it was just like it felt like a novel before, because I'm just kind of like self-taught in writing realm. So because I did go to the Art Institute in North Hollywood for digital filmmaking and video production, but only did 2.5 years there. So I didn't get to go through all the programs, but I got enough to teach myself how to do it from there, And since I came back to Indiana from California, I've worked on a lot of like smaller short films and micro productions, feature films, horrors, and stuff like that as like a producer or a writer or just a random actor background, such like that. So, um, for coming up with a plot of He Knows, it was just I really wanted to do a slasher film, and then looking at Wes Craven and all those people that influenced me, the early Halloween films and such like that. Actually, The Babysitter was kind of a good influence on me as well because I was thinking about comedically how I would want the tone to kind of feel, and I love like the Babysitter films on Netflix and how they kind of flowed. So I just went with a something like that. I just kind of wanted that dark comedy, and then just being able to bounce that off anybody that would be willing to read it in my early writing stages. That one guy that was just the one that stuck around the longest reading. It was like, okay, you're getting better. You're almost there. And, we got it there, I think. So there was a lot of
I
regret
think,
on this film. So
I think for your, your first film, it was really well shot, really well done all around. Solid cast. I mean, like you said, you had Lynn Lowry, you had quite a few people that to have on board for a first film is very impressive. And yeah, like, we already talked about the music being pretty kick ass. How'd you find the whole team? I know that can be a real challenge too, finding the right people to put it together.
that's just me being on all these different film sets. Sometimes you just meet people and you click with them. So I met like my effects artist, Derek Worley. I met him on a set of Wicked Ones, filmed by Tori Jones, filmed down in Kentucky. He was an effects artist on that. He'd also worked on Zombieland Double Tap. So like I was just like, this guy's really cool. Would you be willing to read this script? It was just kind of like my co-writer is like, who would read this for me? And they were all like, all right, this sounds cool. Let's get it to where it needs to be. My DP, who was also my editor for the film, I met him on like a short Batman fan film we had worked on together. We had done a couple of those together. Great guy. He had done so much work for the film. Like everything you see on screen is basically because of him. He's the camera guy, the lighting. Sometimes he had to do sound as well. Like he was a one-man army. He had an AC occasionally, but most of the time it was just all him, just knocking everything out, and his name was Brandon Benz at Valorant Productions. He's just an all-star dude. Then everybody else cast-wise, it was just kind of they applied or I met them on other sets and asked them to come along. And yeah, just a lot of networking.
Network, network, network. Yeah, man, that's what it's all about. Yeah, it was impressive, dude. I had no idea. I went into it blindfold. Like even you're like, oh, dude, this movie's on Tubi and Amazon. I thought it was getting ready going on in demand. I'm like, cool. And I was glad I had time. Had everything done for the day, what I had to do, and I was able to sit back and watch the film, and I really enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun, and it was the perfect time of year really to watch this movie. So anybody who's out there and anybody listening on this live stream, check it out on Tubi. I did buy it on Amazon after I watched it on Tubi to give some support to yeah. So you guys know how it is with the indie community. You can watch it for free with commercials on Tubi, but hey, you got $5. It helps, I'm sure, support for the sequel movie you got in the works for He Knows, and I'd like to see that happen for you, man, because I enjoyed it. I was shockingly impressed, not shockingly, but
Actually,
I
I
never heard
appreciate
about it.
it, man. Shockingly impressed. I get that a lot because a lot of people are like, "Hey, this is your first film. Holy crap, this looks better than my first 4 or 5 films." I'm like, "Dude, right on. Thank you." Like, so that's a great
Uh,
compliment. You know what I
it
mean?
was
So
a
like,
fun horror movie. It definitely worked as a good horror slasher. I mean, it fits right in with anybody who's a Scream, Scream, a fan of Scream, a fan of really any late '80s, '90s slasher because it really has that fun. Even early '80s, it's got that. It's got the group of people. There's going to be a lot of cannon fodder. I think you had some really cool characters with even the druggy brother and there was some unique deaths there, and it was bloody. So if you like your horror movies bloody, there's definitely a lot of blood there. But I think there's a lot of subtlety to it also, and some twists, some interesting twists to the movie.
oh, right on, man. Yeah, we really wanted to go heavy on the practical effects, and another influence being Sam Raimi. I was like, more blood. You know what I mean? Right here, more blood. So like, we got a character get stabbed in the neck, and it just squirts ridiculously with a syringe, and I'm just like, yes, she broke the needle off. Squirt more. Like. So Sam Raimi was a big influence on the blood.
Not a bad influence right there. Wes Craven and Sam Raimi, can't go wrong.
Right. And there was always the joke too. I was like, man, if this movie completely bombs, I'll just pull Sam Raimi in a sequel. It'll be a part remake, part sequel.
There you go. Do it up. No,
Yeah.
I thought it was really well done. I'm looking forward to a sequel. And like you said, there's really kind of a backstory in general to what was going on, which had its own really creative story with Santa Claus and Mrs. Claus and the elves. Nobody was innocent there in a sense. Like they weren't all good. I don't want to give too much away. You kind of
I want to
find
talk
out in the beginning.
about the sequel and stuff, but I'm like, a lot of people haven't had a chance to watch the first one. Calm down, Steve. Like,
Yeah. I think it's definitely worth a watch. You could watch it for free on Tubi.
Mhm.
And even if you're like me, you watched it and you find you enjoy it, you go and buy it on Amazon. I just happened to look up Tubi first, and I looked on Amazon, and it's not free on Amazon, but it's like 99 cents to rent it,
Right.
which you're helping a filmmaker right there. And I know with Tubi, the watches go well with the commercials too. And I
Mhm.
think it's on Plex also, isn't it?
Yeah, it's I got it on about 10 or 11 different platforms. Plex, Tubi, Amazon. There's a couple of channels like Roku channels, like a TCL channel and stuff like that that it should be popping up on. A bunch of random ones through my company. I'm just kind of waiting to see kind of what they'll do compared to what Tubi and Amazon does. So
Yeah,
I'm
you
really
know
just
what though?
Typhoon.
Tubi and Amazon are so great with the indie community lately in their movies. I see so many indie films on there and getting the opportunity for people to watch on them in Amazon. And but I got to give Tubi big props for what they do because God, their horror lineup, their library is insane.
Absolutely.
And
Dude, I just found out about them this year. People were like, "You can get it on Tubi." I was like, "What's Tubi?" And then I got it, and I was like, "Man, this is a better selection than Netflix, Hulu, and Amazon. All these other ones that I
all
do."
put together.
Yeah, and I'm a big horror guy, so I'm like, "All right,
Yeah,
this rabbit
yeah.
hole," And I'm watching all my buddies' films and stuff on there. I'm like, "This is really cool."
Exactly, man. And for free, and the commercials aren't even bad on it. It's not like they sit and drag commercials forever on it. Like I said, I watched on Tubi to begin with. There might have been like 3 or 4 commercials, but it wasn't really that many where it interrupted the film, and they seemed to put the commercials in a not a terrible spot. It's almost like they even
I picked
watched the movie.
commercials. So when I'm setting up with setting it on the platform, I can kind of pick, minute seven, etc. To put where
Oh,
commercials could pop up. So I was like really important. I was like, let's get past the main point. I don't want you to be cut right in the middle of something, come right back from a commercial. I was like, wait, what happened? Oh crap. So I picked a lot of certain key points where they could insert commercials. So luckily they pop up on there. So it's not
I
like
think that's cool. I didn't know how that worked because I'm like, man, they got it because they got so many movies and horror movies, just movies in general on Tubi. They must. I was like, they must have a full team to watch these movies and make sure they put these commercials in the right spot. So now it makes a little sense. They put a little more work on you guys, but that's good too. Where
Mhm.
you have a say where the commercials are. That's an interesting fact I did not know.
Exactly. I was like, where there might be a little bit of a lull, that's where I'll throw a commercial. So that way, when you come back, you're not like too interrupted with a story or a kill or action, what have you. Because I was like, man, I hate when that happens in a movie. I'm watching it and bam, like who just got stabbed? Like, so yeah, hopefully it stays like that and just kind of works out through all the little points that a lot of us filmmakers pick. So
That was a smooth watch of Tubi, as always with Tubi, though.
it's probably one of the better
But
looking platforms too. That and Amazon. Some of the other ones I watched on it seemed like the quality wasn't quite where it was for my uploads.
Plex is pretty good too. They have some movies that aren't on Tubi and other ones. Between Tubi and Plex, honestly, I have Screenbox and I have uh, Shutter, and I got like almost every single site you could possibly imagine to watch movies on, other than like, well, I do have HBO and Showtime, so I do have those, but like Cinemax and Stars, I don't have yet. But with all the stuff I got, I don't. It's hard to find things to watch things on. But I
Nowadays,
tend to go to Tubi more than
shows.
anything else.
Like HBO's got a show this month. We're subscribing back to HBO. Here we go, and then you switch right back over to Disney Plus or whatever. It's like you got to rotate platforms nowadays, just to not go broke but still have stuff to watch. It's insane. That's why I love Tubi so much. I'm just like, not only are there horror movies, but like everything, like mainstream films are on there, and that's pretty cool to me. So
It's awesome. Let me say hi to some of the people in the chat that are here.
all
Speaking of stoners,
right.
we got my artist Michael Toth here. Tony, his mom, is here. Let me see. Look go through it. I'm pretty sure the big swag I saw here, Brett Wagner, the Lost Leatherface, he was just at a convention. Had a blast with some other people that I know, Tom Matthews and Tam Glenn and Alan Troutman, who plays the Tar Man. So he said he had a great time at that show, and I don't want to screw up the event's name, but I know we had a good time. I would have went if it was more than one day. Go visit all those cool people. Yeah, yes, I do, Mike. I know stoner fools, and Mike's a stoner man. But I'll tell you, see all that art behind me? That's Michael Toth right there. Um, uh,
He's doing
Mr.
good.
Jaja, he was on last night. He was my guest last night. Welcome to the stream. He's got a movie coming out. Howdy, I'm guessing that's Mr. Brett Wagner. And oh yeah, the Texas fast food. He heard, I guess, because his buddy Ryan Perry, who knows Brett, and showed had a piece of Mike's original art. Long story, but we're saying hi to him before we get lost here. Lynn from the OG Crazies. Yeah. Oh yeah, he worked with Lynn from in the Crazies. Brett was in the Crazies also.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, yeah. So
She's amazing. So
yeah, and he's watching from the hotel room on Tubi. So he's gonna check out your movie for you, Brett.
I appreciate
And
everybody tuning in as well. I really appreciate it, guys.
okay, look,
film is actor, writer, director, producer, so it means a lot to me that you guys tune in.
Do I get a cut? Do I get a cut? He's gonna watch through Amazon now. Just teasing, but I think that's great. It's always good to support the indie filmmakers. I think.
Hey man, I'm always wanting to do movies, so there's spots for cameos all over the place.
Brett's always down. Brett's one of the good people out there. Yeah, have you come up with a sequel? I'm sure Brett. It's a good movie, Brett. You'll enjoy this one. I'm sure you'd be down to make a.
I will pitch a little bit of the sequel.
Sure.
Just to kind of give you a rough idea about it, because it shows that there is a lot of opportunity for cameos and stuff like that. Because so the first film, the sequel will take place about 5 or so years after the first film, but the kicker is the first film is just a film. So talking about following Wes Craven's New Nightmares, stuff like that, Scream 2, Scream 3, we all just made a film together. We're a group of friends that made something we didn't expect to blow up, and it didn't. So we all just went off, did our own careers. We're in different places now, but the film is starting to get like a little bit more of a following and finding its audience. And now we're in demand at conventions and things like that. But there's a real life killer copying Sammy the Elf in real life with a new costume design, new mask design, and all that stuff. So, everybody that was in the first film can come back in a sequel, at least for a cameo or something like that, to be killed again, even if they had died, because they were all just actors.
Going full metaverse, huh?
Super meta, yeah. So I had an original outline for a trilogy where it would have followed the first group of characters, but that had all to do with the movie blowing up, and the movie's not blown up. So meta-wise, it's been worked into the plot for the sequel. And I can't get a lot of the people to return because they've all gone different places in their career. Some people are SAG, some people are wanting to retire, et cetera, et cetera. So with a sequel, I can do anything, and that's kind of what I'm wanting to do is a big kill sequence at a horror convention.
That'd be pretty cool, man. That's the best place to do it. And it's a good place to get some people involved for sure.
Yeah. So if anybody runs conventions, man, reach out to me. Let's chat.
It could be some. I do quite a bit of conventions. Quite a bit. I'll be on the road a lot in 2023. Got some other big convention type news also myself, hopefully in the near future. Creative Critter, welcome to the stream. So yeah, you're talking to the right guys when it comes to conventions because we love them here. I mean, I'm a big convention fan. So
awesome.
Yeah. It's an addiction.
I'm new to the community of conventions, but after I went to Days of the Dead in Indianapolis, I was just like, there's bigger than this. I must go to them all, So I'm about to.
It's an addiction. The hard part for me is I do tables and I overdo it. Mm-hmm. And I travel all over with a U-Haul trailer and a minivan. Don't ask me how I get all the crap stuffed in, and it's a lot of work to do. And it's a lot of work to take down. But and I'll enjoy it. Like Saturday's always my favorite on a 3-day convention, but I'll be like, oh man, I'm not doing a convention for a while. 2 days later, I'm like, oh, I'm ready for another convention.
Right. So, and that's how it is making a movie too, man. It's just like, oh, this is so freaking exhausting. I'm like mentally strained, but I'm like already writing like 2 or 3 different films. You know what I mean? So my actual next feature film that I'm wanting to make is a film called Bad Apples. That one will follow the antagonist, actually. It's a young girl named Alice. She's like a young self-absorbed sociopath that begins to like show her true colors when her foster family adopts yet another kid to steal the spotlight. So it'll be like a gender swap of the good son or something like Orphan. I hate comparing it to Orphan because
something a cross between Orphan and Sleepaway Camp.
You could say Sleepaway Camp for sure, yeah. But mainly it was for me. It was the biggest influence was The Good Son. I always loved The Good Son with Macaulay Culkin, and I always wanted to like get more into the origin of a character like that and just kind of like watch them go down that rabbit hole of insanity.
Yeah,
So
good
that's
stuff.
what I want to do with that one. So that's going to
I
be my
thought
next feature film.
I saw Good Son in the theater. I love that movie.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, that just shows my age. Yeah, I saw it. Yeah, yeah, young Macaulay Culkin.
Yeah, I was like, man, I'm 89. I don't know if I saw that one in. I was born 89, so I don't know if I saw that in theaters.
I think it came out in like 89, 90. I'm guessing
That's why I'm
something
like,
like that.
yeah, I don't think I did.
Yeah, Orphan is a good movie. I even like the sequel a lot too. That was a lot of fun.
I haven't got a chance to watch that yet, but I really like the first one. And like I said, I kind of hate comparing it to Orphan because the only thing I got in comparison is it's a young girl. Well, she's not a young girl in Orphan, but it's a young girl, killing people who was adopted. So a lot of people are like Orphan. I'm like, yeah, kind of, but think more of the Good Son. You know what I mean? Like, there's a little bit more of a family plot there and a lot more characters to kind of dive into. So
Yeah,
kind of start working at, and hopefully
that's
getting some of these other actors I work with on He Knows to come onto it as well. I'm just not sure who all is going to be coming over yet, other than possibly Morgan Pyle. She's signed on to play Alice right now. So
that's cool. I know that's got to be tough. I know a lot of indie in the indie community. You love to have certain people you work with that just work well with, and you know what they're like on set. And you know you have parts, but then they grow to it. You're happy for it. It's hard to get everybody back together, like you said, for the sequel. And so I know that could be tough. But the good thing is there's a lot of talented actors that are up and coming right now, and ones that are established, that are even ones that are making comebacks that haven't acted in a while, that are excited to be back into filmmaking. So the opportunity's there to be doing these indie projects, especially with He Knows. I mean, it was a very well done indie project, especially for a first time around, man. I mean, it's impressive for any indie projects, especially on. I know what kind of budget you guys go with. It's not an easy shoot, no matter what. It's usually you got a lot of good team players, but it's never simple.
exactly, yeah, because it was like we only filmed 22 days, but that was over October 2020 to August 2021. So all those 22 days were spread out between that because of COVID and scheduling, et cetera, et cetera. People were from California, Reno, Michigan, Atlanta, Chicago, Kentucky, Indiana. They're all over the place. So it was just kind of like getting everybody together. It's just like, oh, so occasionally we would lose somebody. I'd be like, okay, maybe a slight rewrite, maybe write some new characters in. And we just kind of like kept adjusting to keep the story, together as we were going along to kind of keep up with the budget. Cause I'd estimated, 30,000 for the budget, but I had only raised less than 15,000 through, crowdfunding, and the rest was out of pocket, throughout the rest of the years. So just like 2 jobs at a time, donating plasma, paying my people, you know what I mean? So just literal blood, sweat, and tears trying to get it done. You know what I mean? So it was one of those things where it's like, oh man, I don't know if I want to do that again, but I'm definitely wanting to do it again. So
I can only imagine, man. I mean, it's got to be exciting, especially when you. I mean, I'm sure when it's done, you just got to take a breath and then you're ready to go again, like you said. But to see the final product out there, and now you can see people's reactions, and no matter what, you're always going to get different reactions from people. But I think a lot, any indie fan or most indie fans I know are going to be very impressed with what you did, especially being your first film. It was really, really good. Actually, Matt Skinner, who's a big guy with his son in the indie community, is the one who recommended you or recommended me because you were looking to do some podcasts. And if Matt recommends somebody, definitely listen, because he's such a great supporter in the indie community. And I could tell why he recommended your film too, because it's a fantastic job. It's a lot of fun. Christmas movie, Christmas slasher. Um, you know, one to watch with the whole family. It's a family movie. It's Christmas time. Watch some Christmas killings.
Yeah, you notice a lot of slashers have a lot of nudity throughout them. I didn't do that with this one just because with the first film and everything, newer director and everything coming into, the ethos, I was like, I don't want to be that guy. It's like casting for dude scenes, you know what I mean? And it's a holiday slasher, first film, micro budget. I didn't want to like scare people off, you know what I mean? First time filmmaker.
Bring your Christmas balloons.
Right.
No, I was worried in one scene because I watch with my guys and I deal with different individuals, and it's like, we might have, I might have to have the controller ready just to get through it. I feel like my parents anytime a nude scene, but no, there was no nudity in it. But it was there was still good looking ladies,
Absolutely.
very I think there's a good horror film, a vibe. You don't have to have the nudity. Like the older I've gotten, it's kind of like you don't have to have it. You don't really have to have it all the time. If it works, and you can have it. But I think you did it well. There were definitely good scenes. Let me just put it that way, without going too far. So you didn't have to look for that to be shot. Not to say you don't have to do it the next one.
Right. I mean, I always feel like if it happens organically in a story, throw it in. You know what I mean? But like again, with the first film, I toned the original script down because there were a little bit more, situations in our earlier scripts where it was like, oh, this person's kissing this person, or it's at a party scene, et cetera, et cetera. And we just kept going through it and toning it down, being like, all right, what can we actually do as first time filmmakers with a micro budget, So it's just kind of
Well,
adjusting.
believe me, I'm okay with any of it. Like no matter how you do it, like it's just where I watch my horror movies a lot. I watch with that because I take care of special needs. I try to be very careful. Like I feel like
Right.
you got to take on that parental role where it's like, okay, we love horror, but we got to be careful.
Right. And even with like a lot of the drug stuff I have in a film, I was just kind of like, that's not do too much, but that's give them enough because I love stoner comedies and stuff. You know what I mean? Like, so
Oh yeah,
I feel
oh
like,
yeah.
especially for like my character, I was like, that's a big thing. Originally I wanted the bong to be like a Christmassy bong. I wanted to have Santa Claus on it saying, ho, 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 take it to the head. You know,
Oh yeah.
there's a lot of things I wanted to do more Christmassy throughout the film, but, budget. Held us back.
Budget, man.
Yeah, right.
Cut the cost on the bong to get that kill just right. That's all. That's what matters.
Absolutely. Yeah. We had like 3 pieces designed for that. So it was like a taller bong, a broken bong, a shorter bong. It's just kind of like we made, that prop work.
Did you make sure it worked practically though?
Oh, yeah, of course.
Okay,
Absolutely.
I just want to make sure because you got to be professional about those things. Make sure
Absolutely.
everything works, even if it's a replica. You got to make sure it works for yourself.
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
know if you'd ever needed help, Mike would be there for you. Michael Toth, the artist for Doomsday's Krypt, he's very helpful like that. He makes sure things are working just right, especially in that avenue.
Oh, yeah. We'll have to set up a test for the next film when I get a bunch of props ordered in. So.
But yeah, he's drawn me some things that are pretty cool. You'd probably like. I'll show you off here. I'd have to find them. What's
You
that?
said that on the wall is all him because that's all amazing.
Yeah. 99% of like he did the Doomsday. It was a picture of me that he just drew. He's like, oh man, he's got a forehead on him. We're gonna have to put an eye there to take up some space. Became the Doomsday Demon. The painting of Freddy. That's a guy named I want to say John Fabonio, but the rest of the art you see behind me, the cutouts and stuff.
Mhm.
That's all Mike. There's more. He did the Hellraiser. He did that mustache. I got a few other things over here and stuff. I still haven't set up. I got more of his art all around. He does amazing work, and all my shirts on the back have all different art pieces he's done too. Here's
Awesome.
another piece just sitting around, and
Yeah, as you saw in the film, I'm a big Freddy fan. You know what I mean? And that little
yeah. Well,
not that
he
Easter
did.
egg, but there's a nice little Freddy club in my film somewhere. So
Oh yeah, I saw that. There was
yeah,
one in his bag, and there was the Santa bag. It was in the beginning of the film. So yeah, I got the Freddy back there. I got Lonnie McCollum did that. I got 2 different ones. One's like right behind me over Arnold
mm-hmm. That's
too,
nice.
with the chest of souls. Yeah, I love the collection. I just haven't had a chance to even set it up. I got most of it out there. I'm getting
Yes, I
ready.
do like my Sammy the Elf mask and like prop head for
I
the.
need one of them. Those are cool.
Yeah, I'm thinking about possibly getting a couple of them made because they're just a little pricey to get replicas of, but like possibly,
Yeah,
sell and stuff. But I just don't want to like outprice them to where people are like, "That's ridiculous." I'm like, "Dude, that's what I pay." You know what I mean? Like, I'm sorry.
yeah. That's the tough thing. That is so tough, man. I
Mhm.
want to. That's the ones I was going to show him, Mike. But it's in a box way down here. I'd have to dig it out. He made me a couple. Because I did a horror kind of thing. At my job, I do all the Halloween stuff, but he did a horror bong with like a character. I'll show it to you. I'll find it. I'll send you some pictures of it. They're little black lights because most of these are black lit, So
Mhm.
I got the black light for him, and they shine too. And he did a couple of bong ones that you'd like. I will show it to him. Yeah, Ja, this is a great Christmas film, man. I think you'll like it a lot. I think it's a good film for indie filmmakers to watch. Also, Jaja's getting ready to do his first film, and I think it's a great project to learn some really good ways to do a film, and I give you big props on that.
Right on. I appreciate it. Yeah, we try to use, what we can with the budget we had. So if you watch like a lot of the car scenes, interior car scenes, like we shot that in like an all black warehouse with like a light that rotated above the car to kind of give the look of driving throughout every scene with the car accidents and all that stuff. And every interior of the car scene was shot in one location. So it
I,
was just kind of like,
I, I think you did a great job with the practical effects. Like I said, on a shoestring budget, it's not easy, man. It's not. I'm
and my
sure that's
making sure everybody was comfy and had food and stuff like that because we're shooting, cold and all this heat and all this different stuff because it was from October to August, so we went through like all 4 seasons. Basically, it felt like, in that little period of time of extreme Indiana weather.
is there anything with the budget you had that you wish you could have done? I know, like the prequel idea with the story, like where you would have liked to have done a little more with
Yeah.
that aspect. But is there anything in this movie that you wish you were able to get filmed that you were unable to due to finances or time
Yeah,
or
so there's gonna be on the Blu-ray. I'm hoping to get out within January or so. There's gonna be some deleted scenes on there. So with like Julie Phillips and the character Eddie, the other stoner character guy, they were originally gonna be at the location in the beginning with all the other characters, and there's gonna be like interactions between them to show kind of like how they didn't really get along with the overall group of people. They were gonna throw a fit, take off, and like leave, and they're both stoned already before they left that party, and they're the ones that run Christina off the road. Uh,
okay?
so like there's
Oh,
a whole
so it was
thing
that. Yeah, I was
going,
wondering. Like
oh
I
my
was,
god, what did I
yeah,
do? So it's like a whole thing like that that's going to be on there. But there's a lot of like different things we had to rewrite like that throughout the film, where it was like, man, I wish I could have filmed that instead. Like a couple of other characters that would have been in the end act, I ended up killing earlier in the film just because I was like budget wise and scheduling. I was like, I don't think I can get them. A lot of stuff like that, Sean Phillips, I had a lot more stuff written for that character as well, but with him only being able to come to Indiana for one day, it was like we can't shoot all these locations in one day with all the scenes I had to shoot in that one day. So it was just like a lot of fun, of stuff that like that would have kind of fleshed out the characters a little bit more and the red herrings, stuff like that.
yeah.
The suspense, little tension things like that I wanted to do. That was just like, we don't have time. Let's get exactly what we need and keep moving. Uh,
But that's how every indie film goes, though. But it's cool you got the scenes that you can add in. Are you planning on not just the deleted scenes, maybe doing a director's cut scene? I mean, it's all really a director's cut, but
well,
an
there would have
extended
been
movie.
stuff that I needed to shoot for that. So when we shot like the Julie and Eddie's character at the party with the other people, it would have been at a completely different location that was shot in the film because I couldn't get the rest of those actors to be there. So we kind of did blocking to only shoot their coverage for that scene. So when we shot only their coverage and couldn't get them back, we had to do a rewrite where all the other people were at the party without them. And the location that we had for Julie and the other guy, we lost. So we had a new location with all the other people. We were introduced to like Jason and Steve and all the other characters. So, it's just little stuff like that.
That house was really nice that you guys were able to film in.
Yeah, that actually found that on Airbnb, and like the people that own it are super cool. Anytime somebody is like, "Hey, I saw, he knows, I found out about the cabin and stuff," and they rent it, they like leave them like little printed out like laminated posters and stuff of the film. I'm like, right on, thank you so much.
That's cool. They should leave copies for the guests for you.
As soon
What's
as I
the
get copies in, that's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna probably book the place, do a little screening with some cast and crew just to get a little miniature reunion back together, and then leave a couple of copies at the location for them for being so kind. It's awesome.
very
That was
That's
down in Reville, Indiana.
Oh yeah, well you say I've never been to Indiana. It's an area I'd like to hit a convention or two at. I know there's not a lot of them there, but Indiana has always been a place that I've wanted to go and check
A
out.
few of them. Days of the Dead, Horror
Days
Hound.
of Dead, yeah,
Yeah.
Horror Hound. I
There's
think
another one that's newer called RaptorCon. down in Evansville, Indiana. They got one coming in March. It's like a horror con. That's going to be
Okay.
the first convention that I'll be appearing at with a table and stuff, hopefully with merchandise for He Knows. And then hopefully all next year I can branch out into other states and bigger conventions, Ohio,
Well, it's
Atlanta.
good to go to present your movie there too, and the film awards that you can win at these different conventions are great, especially with the screenings and making people aware of it. It's a
Yeah,
good way to reach the horror community and be able to. I mean, you look at it as a marketing expense. That's the way I'd look at it if I was you, and the conventions are the way to do it.
yeah, I got the costume and everything, so I'm gonna show up in the Sammy the Elf costume, have maybe a couple of the people from the film do photo ops and stuff. So have little props people can pose like they're getting killed by Sammy and stuff. So hopefully it'll be pretty fun. You know, it's gonna be my first convention, so we'll see.
Yeah, that'll be cool. Yeah, I think you'll enjoy it, especially behind the table instead of walking around. Like I really enjoy the experience
Well, even
of
as a
being
guest,
behind the table.
I was like, what a great community. Everybody was having fun. They all chatting about all the different stuff they have, really cool stuff on display, you know, like a convention is just like a whole lifestyle, man. I just dig it. I was like, I'm gonna have to get into this. And that's why I started influencing my scripts going forward. I was like,
I think it's good for any filmmaker to go to the conventions. I think it's important. Even a lot of the indie actors, I always highly recommend that they go and interact with any conventions in their area. It's a good way to market and get their name out there. Also to to some new fans and potential new talent that you can have for your films.
absolutely.
Septum Sin versus the World. He's a big indie fan. I know that. Um, Septum said, "Yeah, we're talking about He Knows, which you could watch on Tubi. I know you know all about Tubi. Physical media guy, I know he's big on that, but I think you'd really enjoy this film, Septum. It's what? It's a full length movie. It was about what, hour and
Hour
30,
41 minutes, I think it was.
41 minutes.
Yeah, I think about
Yeah,
that.
and I like you to post credit. I
Yeah,
do
yeah,
like the post
yeah. A lot of people miss out on the post credits. I'm like, oh, you didn't listen to the whole Sammy the Elf song? Like,
You missed the Sammy the Elf song. That's just that alone's worth it.
yeah, unfortunately, the whole in credit thing, maybe it's a little too far into the credits for some people, but you know, a lot of them are going back and checking it out and being like, "Oh my
Well,
god, the story makes so much more sense now." I'm like, "Thank you."
on a platform like Tubi, it makes sense because a lot of times once it goes to the credits, it starts bringing up the next movie you're gonna watch. So
Yeah,
when you have the credits and you have the post scene, all the people who the producers, associate producers, actors, the people behind the camera, the special effects, the musicians, all get their names to be seen because people are watching to get that post credit. I love post credits for that, especially on these
yeah,
digital platforms because they'll go right to the next movie before the whole credits are run. And with a post credit scene like yours, it'll run the whole thing. So and maybe it's a happy accident for you, but I'd always leave a post credit in. I highly recommend it,
a
especially
lot
if
of
you're
people
reaching
were
out
saying
to Tubi.
whatever I do for the next one, they want a post credits and an opening animation. I'm like, I might even have an animation and the credits for the next one. Like two animations. We'll see. I
Yeah, the
just
opening animation was fun in itself too. Hey, that was great with the music. I said there was a little.
so much.
Well, thank you, Tony. We will wish you a good night as well. Uh, Creative Critter, great show, guys. You got to roll too. We're only going to probably run another few more minutes anyway. I got to crash too. Christmas party tomorrow. Hopefully, I don't run into any crazy elves, masks. Don't need Sammy coming to get me.
Right. Well, he only kills during Christmas time, so you know.
Yeah, well,
We got a couple days.
I guess I got about a week to spare, right?
Right,
It's
right.
even Christmas Eve. I might be able to make it. But yeah, it's a awesome job, man. Huge congratulations to you. I know you're in the middle of a move. It
Man,
gets,
my house is freezing right now, so I feel like I've been stuttering all throughout this interview. I
oh
apologize.
no, you've been great, man. I've enjoyed the whole thing. I always feel like I always stutter through every interview. I just wing it the whole time. But
Yeah,
no, it's been great sitting and talking to you, man. I'm real excited for your future. Again, very impressive the team you were able to form around you with a really good story, really fantastic
thank you.
Christmas horror story, and looking forward to more projects from you. I think it's only uphill for you. I think you really showed a lot of talent with this film.
Thanks so much, man. I really appreciate that. Yeah, I always joke like my biggest strength is knowing my weaknesses. So I surround myself with people better than me. So luckily I had the killer cast and crew, man. Without them, I wouldn't have been able to do this. You know, it was like the world was against us. We had cicadas and everything you could imagine with the audio and all this.
Pandemic.
Yeah, the pandemic just started right at there. It was like everybody's wallets weren't really where they wanted them to be for crowdfunding and stuff. It was just one thing after another, and I was just like, keep going. So I'm so happy we finally got this film out. I appreciate everybody checking it out and tuning in for the interview. Thank you so much. I really
Hey,
do.
thanks again. You can watch He Knows on Tubi for free. You can
Mm.
go to Amazon. You can rent it for 99 cents. Helps out these independent filmmakers. You can buy it for $5 on Amazon. Even watching it on Tubi is great because the ad revenue is always good. There's plenty of ways to support this movie, but in order to do that, you got to watch it. So check out He Knows. Thanks again, Stephen Morris. Thank you, chat. Until tomorrow night we got Maurice McCoy Jr. We're going to be talking about his Jason Verse movie coming out, and that should be a lot of fun. And thanks again, Stephen Morris. Peace out, guys. Later.
Right on. Yeah, have a great night.